Hello, this is Jennifer Schaus, and thanks for joining us in week 7 of our government contracting webinar series. Today we're talking about teaming and subcontracting strategies. The list of all of our webinars is on our website under the webinar section. The recordings can be found there as well. And for 2017, we have already recorded, I think, close to 50 webinars. A little bit about us. We are based in downtown Washington, D.C., providing various services for government contractors, ranging from market analysis reports, capability statement, 8A certification, GSA schedule help, contract compliance, and other a la carte services for contractors. Throughout the year, we do host various networking events and seminars. You can find them on our website under the event section, or you can sign up for our newsletter, which will keep you abreast of various events and not just ours throughout the year. A little bit about me. Began my career with Dun & Bradstreet many years ago, and am a board member on a variety of government contracting organizations, and I volunteer and teach at some of the PTAPs in the area, including Virginia and University of Maryland, and some other organizations that are listed there. Today we're talking about strategies for teaming, partnering, and subcontracting. This quote I threw on here to simply indicate the perspective from the government side. So this is coming from the OSDBUs, which is the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Every agency has one of these OSDBUs, and they are the advocates for small businesses. So basically what they're saying is there's ample small businesses. Their main obstacle is that they can't find small businesses that have the qualifications to complete the work that are set aside for small businesses. So just keep that in mind as we go through this presentation. But let's talk about a 4-step strategy, particularly for small businesses when it comes to these issues. So the way that we like to look at it is reverse engineering. So looking at what your business is. Are you small, women-owned, veteran-owned, hub zone, 8A, or what designations do you have or qualify for? We'll look at the data, meaning which agencies are contracting with those set-asides. Make a decision on who you're going to go after, do some homework, and put your plan into action. So let's first talk about what is a small business. The SBA comes up with those rules, and it is primarily based on your NAICS code, which is your industry code. So if your industry code is consulting, then your business size is then determined based on your annual revenues and or number of employees. And this will vary from industry to industry. So if you're in the construction industry, your revenue and employee thresholds will be different from somebody in IT professional services. And those sometimes will change year over year. So make sure that you are up to date on the revenue thresholds, and that throughout the year you are not exceeding those. So this slide is just showing you the small business goals that the SBA has put in place. So direct awards to small businesses, 23%, and at the subcontractor level, 33.7%. This means that the prime contractors need to parse out 33.7% of their business to small businesses. The way this breaks down, the first slide here is looking at again, the direct contracts, the agency direct to the small businesses with the various parameters set in. And the second slide here is showing you the subcontracting goals. So obviously you can see that the subcontracting has a higher number than the direct, so that may give you some ammunition as far as the way that you want to implement your strategy. Maybe part of your time is spent looking at direct agency awards, and then the majority of your time perhaps is spent looking for subcontracting opportunities. This is just a side-by-side comparison where the differentiator is at the last line, which falls into the general or other small business category. As far as other takeaways from this slide, I wouldn't be surprised during this Trump administration if the veterans get bumped up to a 5% goal. So some resources to look at, and we're going to go through about 4 or 5 of these data resources that are available. And these are all available on public websites, so you can go after today's presentation and take a look at these resources and see how it fits into your business plan. So the SBA scorecard is something that comes out every year. The SBA will grade all of the agencies on their awards, again, direct and indirect, meaning subcontracting. So the way this plays out, this is, I think, fiscal year 16's view, and you've got the agencies there on the left-hand side. On the far right-hand columns is going to tell you how they scored for that year. The next slide, these are the subcontracting goals, and the agencies didn't carry over to this slide, but they still go across. So you'll see that, let's say you're a woman-owned business. Second from the bottom, you've got 27.5% awards. So that agency, which, let me just go back one slide, is the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, has a high propensity to award contracts to women-owned businesses. So if you're a woman-owned business, you may want to spend some time there. Another way to look at this is the second or third agency down here. For women, it has only a 1.7% achievement in their women-owned small business goal. You may be able to help them bump their number up and use that as a selling point. So again, the SBA scorecard, I would say that you should identify a couple agencies where you've got the propensity to win. Go to their industry days, which you can find those listed on FedBizOps. These are kind of open houses for small businesses. Look at their forecast and look at the top vendors within those agencies. These last three bullets, the last two bullets, the budget forecast and the top vendors, I'm going to show you how to get that information as well. The next piece here is the top 100 vendors, FPDS, which is the Federal Procurement Data System, aggregates all of the purchasing data from all of the agencies, provides a lot of information and intelligence, and it's produced every year. So let's say that you're a woman-owned business, and in that last example, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is who you want to target because you're woman-owned. The first slide here, you can see towards the bottom, you've got all the different worksheets. So you would scroll over to the right. So you found Nuclear Regulatory Commission, find the agencies there. It'll give you the top 100 that are doing business with NRC, and perhaps you become a subcontractor to them. So again, this top 100 list, pick a couple, I would say 20 to 30. Look on FPDS as far as the contracts that they hold and that they've won. Go to their website. So if it shows that Lockheed is, an ideal candidate for you, Northrop Grumman, all of these large primes will have something on their website that says vendor registration or small business registration or outreach or something along those lines. Make sure you go onto their website and register before you start emailing them and contacting them, because the first thing they're going to ask you is, have you registered on our website? Next, I think it's important to then tailor a capabilities statement, particularly to that company, and tailor it for the agency that you're targeting as well. Also sign up for their newsletters, find out the events and trade shows and conferences that they're going to, subscribe to as many government contracting publications as you can, and just use that information to go out to the events and build relationships. Another resource that I think is pretty valuable is the GSA scheduled vendor list. This is going to be a list of all of the companies that hold GSA schedules. Does not necessarily mean that they are running any revenue through their GSA schedule, but you can do some research to find out how much revenue they are pulling through their schedule. And the good thing about this site is all the businesses are segmented by size. So what we look at here is a Schedule 70, which is for IT products and services. Within every schedule, there's something called a SIN number. So the top left-hand corner you see in bold maroon color, 13251. Those are the particular services that are offered through this GSA schedule. But more importantly, I'd like to direct you to the third column from the right-hand side. You'll see the socioeconomic indicators there. S is going to mean small, H is hub zone, 8A is 8A, V for veteran. When you see the letter O, that means other. Other means large business. Large business, again, means that these companies are required to parse out a certain percent of their business to small businesses. Again, before you start calling 2020 Company LLC and 22nd Century Technologies Incorporated, I would highly suggest going onto their website, registering as a small business, tailoring a capability statement towards them, going to FPDS, doing some research to find out what contracts and what agencies these companies are in. So that's just kind of, this slide here is just re-clarifying everything I just said. Another piece on the GSA schedule website, which can be very useful, is the calculation website. So this is calc.gsa.gov, and this is going to provide hourly rates for service companies that hold a GSA schedule. What I plugged in here was a very common job title, project manager, and on the right-hand side you can set parameters as far as education level, number of years experience, and other parameters that you'll see listed there. The average rate is for GSA schedule holders only $129 on average. If your hourly rate for your project manager with those same parameters is $200 an hour, this may not be a good company for you to become a sub to. And the reason I say that is oftentimes the prime contractor is going to dictate what your rates should be. So once you get into some of these relationships, the way that it really plays out, in essence, is ABC company may come to you and say, hey, we need 50 project managers, and the rate needs to be $128 per hour. And if your rates are at $200, this may not be a beneficial relationship for you or profitable. Also, you want to look at budget forecast. This is going to show upcoming purchases that the government's making. It'll give you contact information, how the contracts are being purchased. Is it going through GSA schedule? Is it going through other contract vehicles? I pulled out a sample here from CBP within DHS, and this was just through a simple Google search, going onto their website and scouring for budget forecast. You'll see the anticipated quarter. This will help you for planning purposes. It'll tell you if there's an incumbent there. Some of these do have that listed, but you've also got the contracting, the point of contact, your contracting officer's name, phone number, and email address. So obviously you want to use that information. And then as far as the contractors, you can take their information, kind of reverse engineer going back to FPDS and plugging that in. So again, with that information on the budget forecast, make sure you know what the agency does. Coming in as an educated vendor versus having a elementary conversation about, oh, tell me about your agency and what you do. You want to be able to set yourself aside from the thousands and millions of other small businesses. So this slide here is just basically talking a different angle. We've got all the data and various resources that you can use. It's obviously not a comprehensive list, but there's hopefully some tools that you can use. But we all have the same 24 hours in the day, and companies are going to have similar size and capabilities. But what separates one company apart from another is going to be the relationships that they make. Now, those relationships can be formed by, again, attending the events and conferences that the prime contractor is attending. It can be by going to the industry days that the agency is holding and other conferences that the OSDBUs perhaps are putting on. So some other resources here. You've got matchmaking events that the local PPAP for and small business development centers and your chambers of commerce, particularly in the DC metropolitan area, will handle. I would encourage you to sign up for those. Data aggregators, I threw that on there simply because you've got a plethora of companies, particularly in the last couple of years, that have sprung up that can take all of this data and put it into a simple format for you. They typically charge a monthly subscription. That way you're alerted to various RFPs that are coming out for your industry and your business size and any set-asides that you may hold. Industry organizations are also helpful. I listed a few there, including FCA and CMA and others. But then you also want to look at organizations that are specifically related to your set-aside. So WIP is Women Impacting Public Policy. The women's goal, small business goal, was in the past, for many years, stuck at 3%. WIP was most instrumental in getting that number bumped up to the 5%. You've got the 8A Association, Hub Zone Council, Veterans, and these can also be good even if you don't hold those certifications, because then you can find partners that perhaps do, that offer a complementary service to what you are providing. So some conclusions here, obviously, use the data. It's out there. It's factual information. You can use that to drive your strategy. Do your homework on the companies and the agencies once you have that information and you've decided which companies and agencies you're going to target, and then execute and obviously get out there and build the relationships. Any questions about this or any of our other services, you can contact us at the phone number listed here or email me directly. And thanks again, everybody, for attending today. The rest of the week, we're covering capability statements, Hub Zone certification, False Claims Act, and other topics related to government contracting.